right with you all. All right. So if you go to the Schoology page, does everyone see the Schoology page? Let me know if you don't see it. You'll scroll down and find this week's assignment. So just one assignment for the week that I want you to work on. And it's lesson 11, how can we reduce the negative impacts, human impacts on climate change? Hi, Josiah, welcome in. All right, so you'll go to that lesson and it'll take you straight to this link, okay? So I'm going to be referring to that and kind of pointing you in that direction. And I want you to use this link in particular because it's will allow me to look at it directly when I grade it. All right. Does everyone see that? Can someone give me a thumbs up if we showed that right? All right. Thank you, Ray. I appreciate that. It really helps me if you guys interact with me and kind of stay tuned. I can see that you're with me and participating and stuff. So I know we're frustrated with being online again, but let's make the most of it. We can have some fun and it's just one class. So, all right. So let's get started with lesson 11. So make sure you have that activity with you. View slideshow. Let's see. 1 second. Okay, so today we're doing lesson 11. Okay, so we're starting a new topic, and it's how can we reduce the negative impacts on climate change? Okay. So we're going to be talking about climate change, and you'll be talking about that a lot next year too. So the objective is to ask questions to clarify and seek additional information about how planting trees might be able to mitigate the negative effects of the human activity on the atmosphere. Okay, so the big thing to focus on is ask a lot of questions and try to get curious today, okay? All right, so carbon dioxide. What do you know about carbon dioxide and how does it affect the environment? So take a second and think about that. And then I'm going to ask you I'm going to call on somebody to share. You can either type it in the chat or you can let me know, but just take a second and we'll go from there. All right.
Hi, this is Bill Putman. I'm a climate scientist at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center. What you're looking at is a supercomputer model of carbon dioxide levels in the Earth's atmosphere. The visualization compresses 1 year of data into a few minutes. Carbon dioxide is the most important greenhouse gas affected by human activity. About half of the carbon dioxide emitted from fossil fuel combustion remains in the atmosphere, while the other half is absorbed by natural land and ocean reservoirs. In the Northern Hemisphere, we see the highest concentrations are focused around major emission sources over North America, Europe, and Asia. Notice how the gas doesn't stay in one place. The dispersion of carbon dioxide is controlled by the large-scale weather patterns within the global circulation. During spring and summer in the Northern Hemisphere, plants absorb a substantial amount of carbon dioxide through photosynthesis, thus removing some of the gas from the atmosphere. We see this change in the model as the red and purple colors start to fade. Meanwhile, in the Southern Hemisphere, we see the release of another pollutant, carbon monoxide. This is a gas that's both harmful to the environment and to humans. During the summer months, plumes of carbon monoxide stream from fires in Africa, South America, and Australia, contributing to high concentrations in the atmosphere. Notice how these emissions are also transported by winds to other parts of the world. As summer transitions to fall and plant photosynthesis decreases, carbon dioxide begins to accumulate in the atmosphere. Although this change is expected, we're seeing higher concentrations of carbon dioxide accumulate in the atmosphere each year. This is contributing to the long-term trend of rising global temperatures. The Orbiting Carbon Observatory 2, or OCO2, will be the first NASA satellite mission to provide a global view of carbon dioxide. OCO2 observations and atmospheric models like GEOS 5 will work closely together to better understand both human emissions and natural fluxes of carbon dioxide. This will help guide climate models toward more reliable predictions of future conditions across the globe.
All right. So that's where the carbon dioxide is. You can see that red color where the carbon dioxide is, and they can use that with high technology, right? And then
Hi, this is Bill Putman.
Here is the carbon dioxide levels of the past 400,000 or 800,000 years, really. So almost 1 million years worth of carbon dioxide. Does anyone know where they know where all this carbon dioxide comes from? Where all this gas? Anybody? So they sample cores of ice, okay? And in that ice, you have what was in the air at that time, right? So in major glaciers, you can get to ice that's been there for that long, 800,000 years, believe it or not. You can also look at fossils, geological records, things like that. So the carbon dioxide always goes up and down, and it has for hundreds of thousands of years, right? However, you can see now in the past, 100 years, basically, that there's been a major increase. Okay, so just take a second and look at this graph and kind of see what you notice. Okay, we're gonna look at one other one. So that's a big term, like over a long period of time. Okay, and here we have from 1960 to 2021. So they've been collecting data in a place in Hawaii for this long to determine how much carbon dioxide there is over time. Okay, and so we can see that it's increasing quite significantly, right? All right. Okay, so what do you think about the carbon dioxide levels in the video and the graphs? How might this be cause for concern based on what you know about carbon dioxide's effects on the environment? So I'll just tell you that carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas. So global warming is, this is one of the gases that increases global warming. What it does is it goes into the atmosphere, and then the heat that comes in gets trapped by it. So you could think of it as like a windshield of a car. It will hold in more heat. Okay, so I'm going to put this in the chat, or actually I can't copy it. So what I want you to do is, is go ahead and write in the chat your response. Okay, so now we're going to the student activity sheet and we're thinking about how Colorado's emissions work, because Colorado is looking for a low cost and efficient way to lower their emissions. So start thinking about ways that Colorado might be able to come up with strategies to improve their greenhouse global warming emissions, right? So here in this table, we have, this is all the places where the carbon dioxide comes from: residential houses, commercial businesses, the industrial centers, like factories, transportation, cars, and electric power, so electricity. And then these are the total emissions in 1995, 1990, 1995, 2000, 2005, and 2010. So you can see what are the trends in this. What do you see happening here as we go through time from 1990 to 2010, the past 20 years? Is it increasing or decreasing? And then you have industrial processes and waste. So you can also look at this and look at the totals. Okay. So all right. Clear up all drawings. Okay, and then I want you to, you will look at, describe what you notice about the graph and what you wonder about the graph.
Scares me.
Hi, Ty, welcome back. What you notice and what you wonder about the graph here, okay? So go ahead and spend a few minutes doing that. If you are stuck or confused about what to do, just let me know, but you can type me in the chat, but I want you to spend a few minutes. What do you notice about this generally, and what do you wonder about? Okay. Can you give me a thumbs up if that sounds good? Anybody thumbs up? Ah, thank you, Robert. Appreciate that. All right, so just take a few minutes and do that. I've been talking with my voice off, so so let's get started. The state of Colorado has been concerned about some of the recent changes at the Environmental Protection Agency and the Paris Climate Agreement. And they're a state that prides themselves on being eco-friendly in the environment. And so they're afraid that some of these changes are going to undo some of the hard work to reduce the carbon emissions in their state. So the city of Denver is looking for low-cost natural options to continue protecting against these carbon emissions. So I was curious to know about the progress in reducing these carbon emissions that supposedly have been made. So I went on a hunt to find some actual data about this carbon emissions thing, and I managed to find that table that you just looked at from 2014 greenhouse gas inventory issues. So we looked at the millions of metric tons of different gases of CO2 that were emitted. Okay, and you've looked at this table and thought what you notice and wonder about. You might have noticed that the number of gases have gone up, that there's an increasing amount of emissions, right? So moving forward, we're going to continue to think about what we're noticing and what you're wondering about. And besides reducing emissions, what are some of the low-cost things we could do to balance the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere? So actually, I'm going to turn to you. So as you're watching this video, you should be looking at number 2 on your student activity sheet. And so I want you to write what are the main things they said in the video and what are your thoughts about what they said. Okay? So follow along with the video and get the claims and any notes or questions. Here you go.
How tree planting can help reverse climate change. Planting enough trees could be the most effective way to successfully overcome climate change, and it's something we can easily do now by each of us helping to plant a tree a day. Too much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere holds the sun's heat in like a blanket, causing serious changes in global temperatures, which in turn causes extreme weather patterns and ultimately the rising of the oceans. Trees take this carbon dioxide out of the air as they grow, storing it as wood while also helping to store more carbon in the soil below them. Planting enough trees can restore balance to our atmosphere by converting the excess carbon dioxide into healthy ecosystems and into thousands of useful resources that people need. While trees' ability to remove carbon dioxide and restore balance to our atmosphere is simply amazing, here are 4 additional ways that trees help keep the planet cool. Trees create clouds that help cool the earth. The clouds that are created by trees and forests play a huge role in keeping the earth cool by reflecting the sun's heat back into space before it reaches the earth. It's estimated that if we could increase the world's cloud cover by just 3% through tree planting, so much less of the sun's heat would reach the earth that these extra clouds alone could cool the earth enough to counteract climate change. Forests keep the ground cool. Forests' mighty canopies shade the ground and waters beneath them. This keeps the earth cooler and protects the living soil, which would otherwise dry out and become lifeless. This is very important as living soil can store an incredible amount of carbon, keeping climate change-causing carbon dioxide out of our atmosphere. When soil becomes too hot and dry, the carbon molecules in the soil rebond with oxygen and release carbon dioxide back into the air. But even areas that have become desert-like can be restored by simply planting enough trees. Large-scale reforestation can help store so much carbon back in the soil that it has the potential to remove all of the excess carbon dioxide in our atmosphere, allowing the Earth's climate to come back into balance. Trees cool the atmosphere by cleaning it. Around cities and industrial zones, air pollution molecules combine with water vapor, hovering in what's called a humid haze and trapping in more of the sun's heat. As we explain in our video how trees help create the fresh water supply, many trees breathe out both water vapor and friendly bacteria that assist in the formation of clouds. These bacteria trigger the water vapor and air pollution molecules to cluster into droplets that then fall to the ground. This removes these hazes from our skies, allowing the sun's heat to exit again and the earth to cool. Trees convert the sun's energy into life. Since sunlight powers photosynthesis, the sun's heat is literally used up as the leaves and needles do their job, converting carbon dioxide and water into the building blocks of plant matter while creating oxygen. This plant matter becomes food for animals, and the energy then continues up the food chain. So the miracle of photosynthesis both protects the earth from overheating and provides the basis for all life on the planet. Planting trees is a huge part of the solution to climate change. Knowing that trees maintain our atmosphere, keep the earth cool by shading it with clouds and canopies, regulate much of the planet's fresh water cycle, and create the building blocks of all life, we simply have to be in awe at the amazing service that trees provide us. We can also understand that further decline of our world's forests is not a direction we can afford to go in. At the A Tree a Day campaign, we see large-scale tree planting as being the world's most affordable, practical, and multi-benefit opportunity to effectively counteract climate change. That's why we're asking you, and everyone you know, to take 2 simple steps towards making this a reality. First, fund the planting of a tree every day of the year for just $3 a month. That's just 10 cents a tree. Next, take the 30-day tree challenge and inspire 2 of your friends to do the same within 30 days. This creates a domino effect of participation that has the potential to reach over 300 million people in the next 3 years. This is enough people helping to plant trees to restore balance to our atmosphere, effectively reversing climate change while transforming the degraded lands of the Earth back into healthy ecosystems. To learn more and sign up now to plant a tree a day, please visit atreeaday.org.
Okay. So why don't we have, I just want one person to share one of the claims, or 2 people to share one claim that the video. So this is one of the major claims in the video, right? Trees take carbon dioxide out of the air, and as they grow, they store it as wood. So how is this possible? What I want you to do is to, it says to draw it, and you can draw that on paper and then put, email it, take a picture of it and put it in the document. That would be the best, or you can just type what you think. But really try to think curiously about how they might take the carbon gas out of the air and make it into wood. And just write as much as you can there. Okay? And then don't worry about number 4 for right now, because we're not in class together, so we can't compare our notes very easily. And then finally, there's 2 questions. So question 5 is, any questions that you might have about how trees take carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. So be prepared to share those next week, okay? So just try to think of as many questions about how you think this might work. A lot of this assignment is just you brainstorming how this is all gonna work. And next steps, based on all the questions that were shared, what are some investigations that the class could pursue to help answer some of these questions? And you're going to list those ideas below. So remember, this is due on Friday. So I really want you to spend a little bit of time just finishing these last few questions, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm here, I'm available all day this week. I have lots of time if you want to meet with me and go over it together, but it should be pretty straightforward. The main thing is that I want you to answer the questions about it. Okay, so good luck.